All right, welcome back everyone. Dr. Ben, not a real doctor here. Been holding off shooting this, hoping the rain would stop. It's been raining almost nonstop for a week, and it's still raining, so I finally said, you know what, we're just gonna do it inside. So, welcome to the ferret room / workroom. Anywho, today I wanna talk about why you should practice getting up from the floor. I've done like three or four videos now on different techniques for getting up from the floor. But what I haven't done is really explain why you should practice getting up from the floor. My most popular video on getting up from the floor is just a couple techniques for getting up from the floor, and people tend to assume when they show up on that video that it's for elderly people who have a hard time getting up from the floor. And that video was never intended as a help, I've fallen and I can't get up kind of situation. Y'all remember that? Am I dating myself? Do you remember that commercial? Help, I've fallen and I can't get up. That was just sharing various techniques on ways to get up from the floor. The second video, kind of in response to that video, shared a few more ways to get up from the floor that were a little less technical. But the assumption that because you're young and healthy, you shouldn't practice getting up from the floor is how people end up in the situation where they can't get up from the floor. The human body is a use it or lose it kind of system. If you spend 8 to 10 hours sitting all day every day, and then you go home from work after your commute to and from, and you sit down and you watch TV, even if you're spending, like an hour at the gym fairly regularly, you will find as time goes on, you're gonna lose that range of motion that lets you comfortably get down to the floor. Most people in the gym don't train that. Squats are not a full, the traditional barbell squats are not a full all the way down situation. And if you are not practicing getting to the floor and getting up from the floor, you will eventually erode that skill set. Muscles get better at what they practice. They forget what they don't practice. So in cultures like in Asia where people regularly sit on the floor, people don't have the same problems getting up from the ground. If you notice, as whatever environment you're in gets catered more and more towards elderly, chairs get higher, toilets get higher, you get more things to hold on to as you're standing up and sitting down. And that's because people in a chair culture lose the ability to comfortably get up and down from the floor. You need to practice regularly. I personally find chairs incredibly uncomfortable. I'm constantly squirming trying to adjust positions. That fixed like L shape just does not work for me. It's incredibly uncomfortable in a very short period of time. I prefer sitting on the floor. If I'm in a room that has enough floor space and I start on the couch, I almost invariably end up on the floor. It's just more comfortable for me. There are a lot of benefits to sitting on the floor. You can stretch things out. You can make up any position you want and use it, whereas in a chair you're relatively fixed. Even something like a bar stool is more useful than a chair because there are ways you can position yourself that you wouldn't be able to position yourself in comfortably in a chair. So aside from just exploring different positions of sitting on the floor, those different positions allow you to stretch while you are sitting. So you can assume many, many different positions that put your joints at angles that are very different that you may not experience regularly without sitting on the floor. It's a great way to work in a little extra movement without doing much movement. Oh, one of the weasels is waking up. I see a little paw stretching. If she wakes up, I'll bring her over and you can say hi to Thelma. But if you are not regularly sitting on the floor, if you're not regularly working on lowering your center of gravity all the way to the ground and coming all the way back up, you will eventually lose the ability to do that. And there's evidence through studies that as you lose that ability, your risk of mortality goes up. And I don't take that so much as if you can get up from the floor, you're gonna live to 100. It's more like if you live a lifestyle that has enough activity and movement that allows you to continue to do that into your elder years, you have a much better chance of having a good quality of life in your later years. So there are many, 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 many ways of getting up and down from the floor. Some involve your hands, some involve just your legs. Obviously, you would like to be able to do it without using your hands, but you need to start from where you are. If you need to start with using your hands, that's fine. Don't practice getting up and down from the floor if it's not safe for you to do so without assistance. Make sure if that is your situation, you are getting qualified professional help, because as you get older, a lot of times there is a loss of bone and you can end up with very, very serious injuries just from a fall. My grandmother, before she passed, she broke her femur twice, and the second time she fell, she actually fractured her spine in many locations. And that was a combination of too much time sitting in chairs and falling to the ground. So it can be very, very serious. So please assess your risk before you start working on any of this stuff. If this is a preventative thing, you're already healthy and in good shape. If you're getting down and up from the floor regularly, this likely will not be a concern for you later down the road. You'll still have the ability to do this stuff. And that's the goal, right? That's what you want to do. You want to be able to get up and down from the floor well into your 80s and 90s without a concern of falling on your face or breaking things. And just from my personal perspective, as someone who's been active their entire life, but spent time working for a utility company where I spent a lot of time driving and a lot of time sitting. Spent 12 years working for a utility company where I was in the front seat of a car all day, every day. That really tightens things up a lot. I'm very mobile in certain ranges of motion where I have continued to use the range of motion, but the areas where I have basically ignored the areas that have tightened up, those areas are significant problem areas, and it radiates to other areas and creates problems systemically throughout the body. Like a tight right hip can cause problems, for example, in my left shoulder, which is one of the things I'm rehabbing right now. So you're much better off to work on these things throughout your life regularly, include them into your daily life, rather than trying to set aside an hour of specialized work to focus on your hips. Just sit on the floor instead, and when you got to go to the bathroom, get up from the floor. When you want to drink, get up from the floor, get back down to the floor. Work movement into your daily life, and then you'll need less time working out to fix problems or to improve capabilities. Your workout time can be focusing on things you want to improve rather than trying to undo damage. You can just undo the damage throughout your daily life. Anywho, that's what I've got for you today. So, happy Memorial Day. Remember that this is a day of remembrance. This is a day to remember the men and women who didn't come back home. So take a moment and just actively, passively, out loud, silently, just think about that and remember and pay a little respect to those men and women. But also, you're alive and life goes on. So I hope you're having a fantastic Memorial Day weekend and kicking off what is usually the summer season in a great, fantastic way. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, smash that thumbs up button. If you know someone who might benefit, share the video with them. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing. Also, in another note, I have recently started a podcast called The Feral Human Podcast. You can check it out at theferalhumanpodcast.com. If you're interested in that, go check it out. I think I'm at 8 episodes right now. So if you check it out, thank you very much. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Until next time, keep your life in motion.